Rule Britannia! Hey guys, man, it's 9132, I'm the Robot Wars Guru. I'm not gonna lie here, I loved the Series 4 War of Independence special. Not only did it give us some great battles like Mortis vs Panic Attack and Frenzy vs Detonator, but we also got to see Mortis finally win a trophy as they defeated that scummy Yank in the final. Rule Britannia! However, there were some small issues with it. First of all is the ridiculous amount of xenophobia in the episode. Don't get me wrong, I'm a proud Brit who prides himself on knowing that England is the greatest country in the world, but it was a little bit too much. I almost felt bad for all the US teams who came so far only to be insulted. Almost, anyway. I'm a dick. The second problem was that the tournament was, for lack of a better term, more one-sided than Lennox Lewis versus Mike Tyson. Zing! I am going to lose a lot of subscribers today, aren't I? Seriously though, the field of robots was heavily in favour of the UK. Just look at who we had representing us. Mortis, a robot that had the hardest thing next to Diamond for its armour and was roughly estimated to cost 40 grand at this point, and Panic Attack, a former champion and semi-finalist. Okay, sure there was Ming too, but to be fair, it was a semi-competent machine for its time. And yeah, Detonator was a complete dud, but that wasn't the original plan. More on that in a second. And who represented the away team? Ghettobot, a middleweight speed bump, Ramstein, a decent super heavyweight that was forced to make adaptations to reduce its weight, meaning it was no longer decent, Mangulator, a robot built in 2 sodding days with a weapon way too long for its own good, and Frenzy, the exception, considering it was actually a good robot. However, it was originally planned to go up against Hypnodisc. Hypnodisc! You know, the runner-up of Series 3 and the deadliest robot in the UK at the time. So the original plan was to have Mortis, Panic Attack and Hypnodisc represent the UK. However, due to the UK machines dominating the competition, they swapped Hypnodisc with Detonator to give the USA a chance. Jesus fucking wept! All in all, whilst the episode was good as far as battles are concerned, the blatant one-sidedness of things really did let the episode down, and I think I can do it better. So what I'm aiming to do here is make the competition more fair as far as robot power is concerned, whilst also trying to make sure the episode stays entertaining. To do this, I'm going to have to try my damned hardest to work with what I have. Sure, I have a huge amount of robots I can use to represent the UK, but the US side of things is really lacking. Only 7 robots were available due to them being in the studio for the unaired MTV pilot episode. Of these 7 robots, 4 were picked for said pilot: Mauler, Spike, Mangulator and Frenzy. Ramstein and Ghettobot were selected to represent the USA in the War of Independence due to them not being picked for the pilot episode, whilst Frenzy and Mangulator were allowed to compete in both. And for some reason, Molnir? I think that's how you pronounce that. For some reason, Molnir was not selected to compete in any of them. And that's the entire rundown on the American robots that are available. You see why this is so tough to do now? Then again, it's not as easy as it seems on the UK side of things either. The MTV pilot and first 2 battles of the War of Independence were filmed about a month before the rest of filming took place, hence why the arena doesn't have the usual hazard features that Series 4 had. Not only that, but by the empty look of the pits, I'm guessing the rest of the War of Independence was filmed before the rest of Series 4. Because of this, it's really hard to decide just how much the producers knew about who was competing. I was originally going to put Major Tom in here, because, well, look at it. But considering it looked like this in the qualifiers, it made me realise that the producers might not have known about the Union Jack clad version until later. As a result, I decided it would be too hard to put any Series 4 newcomers into this tournament. Thankfully, there were still quite a few veterans for me to use though. To start things off, I'm going to discuss which robots I would keep in the special. First off, Mortis. Of all the UK powerhouses that were meant to compete, Mortis was the one with the less pedigree. Plus, it would only be fair to give them a shot at winning a trophy. They're also from Cambridge University, a place which screams Mighty Blighty. And if I'm going to keep Mortis in, it's only fair I also keep Frenzy in as well, as it was a very competent machine and the best of the US robots used. Because of this, I decided to keep Ghettobot and Detonator in as well. That way we still get those one-sided spectacles where Mortis and Frenzy repeatedly beat the hell out of Ghettobot and Detonator respectively. Sure, they were very one-sided, but it's fair because both the UK and USA get an easy win. I'm also up for keeping Ming 2 as well, as it was a half-decent Series 4 robot that could put up a good fight, but also give the USA robots a chance. So with that out of the way, it's now time to discuss who won't be staying and who will replace them. With the power of deduction, I guess you can tell I'm getting rid of Panic Attack, Ramstein and Mangulator. I decided to shift Panic Attack because if I kept it in, it would make the playing field very unfair overall. There were plenty of robots in Series 4 that showed promise but weren't too much of a threat at the same time. Putting a former champion against a partially dismantled Ramstein really was not a fair decision. Speaking of which, I also had to give the boot to Ramstein. Whilst I feel that it would be fair to let them in due to them not being selected for the MTV pilot, the thing couldn't outlast the 5-minute time limit due to its batteries only being big enough for 3-minute bouts. Letting them in would be essentially giving the UK robots a free pass, which we already have with Mortis vs Ghetto-Bot. As for Mangulator, well, where do I even begin? First off, it was built in 2 bloody days, and it showed with its wheels being so weak a gentle nudge from Ming 2 broke one of them off. And its thumperizer, as Dan Dannick called it, was way too long, meaning they couldn't hit anything properly. Sure, it was funny seeing its wheel fall off, but Ming 2 deserved a better opponent. So who shall replace them? Well, starting off with the American machines, I think it was a daft decision on the part of the producers not to include Mauler. Correct me if I'm wrong here, but wasn't this the robot that was disqualified from the first World Championships in Series 3 for being too dangerous for the arena at the time? That alone is worthy of a place. British viewers obviously weren't as up to date with American robots, so imagine how awesome it would have been if Mauler was seen on TV in Robot Wars. A small promo video could be played after its introduction with Jonathan Pierce explaining to the audience that Mauler was deemed too dangerous in the old arena, which would really hype the machine up for fans. I just think that it was a massive missed opportunity. Who decided to let Ramstein, a robot that couldn't finish a 5-minute battle in, but not Mauler? Christ's sake! I decided to replace Mangulator with Molnir. At the end of the day, if you're going to get rid of one Thwackbot, you may as well replace it with another. And considering Molnir's weapon looks short enough to actually hit something, I think it would give Ming 2 a good fight. Ming 2 vs Mangulator was a good battle anyway, so with a more competent robot, I think Ming 2 vs Molnir could be great. So which robot did I pick to replace Panic Attack? This was honestly really difficult to do, because I felt that it had to be a reasonable robot that had a lot of promise, but at the same time, a machine that couldn't be seen as too big of a threat. And after much brain ache, I made my choice. The robot that I would have replace Panic Attack is Kilohertz. After all, it makes a lot of sense. Kilohertz had a lot of experience in BattleBots, so again Jonathan Pierce could mention that the Kilohertz team knew how tough the competition can be from across the pond. Plus it was a robot that had yet to live up to its potential, so it deserved a chance to shine. And can you imagine how lively a battle between Mauler and Kilohertz would be in the Robot Wars arena with less hazards getting in the way? I think it would be great. So that would leave the War of Independence looking a little something like this. Mortis vs Ghetto-Bot, Kilohertz vs Mauler, Ming 2 vs Molnir, and Detonator vs Frenzy. Who would win? Well, obviously Mortis and Frenzy would still triumph, but what about the other 2 battles? I know Kilohertz beat Mauler in BattleBots, but that was thanks to the kill saws. Take those out of the equation, and I think Mauler could win it on damage via the judges, if not via KO. Ming 2 meanwhile would most likely still go through. It was winning against Mangulator before the wheel break anyway, and whilst I think Molnir could give it a better fight, I still think Ming 2 could win, most likely via the judges. That puts Mortis against Mauler and Ming 2 against Frenzy in the semis. I personally think that Mortis would win against Mauler. Mauler was deadly, there's no question about it, but it was also suspect of reliability issues, and considering just how tough Mortis' armour was, I think Mortis would do a good job deflecting Mauler's offense before eventually managing to turn it over with its lifting arm. Frenzy, of course, would still win against Ming 2, meaning we get that amazing final between Mortis and Frenzy. I honestly think I've done an okay job with this one. Not only is it a lot more balanced, but we also get some great battles out of it, and according to my logic, Mortis still gets to win a trophy in its final appearance. And that's it for this video. Do you agree, or do you think I'm talking absolute crap? How would you have personally done the War of Independence? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching. I'm Answer9132 the Robot Wars Guru, and I'll see you next time.